So grateful to be here and very happy to discuss these incredibly important and hard to talk about topics. He has an incredible backbone and staggering moral fiber. Howie is totally committed, completely ethical, totally admirable. No pressure if you can hear this, but honestly, Howie's a hero to me.
John, you joined us before, and it was a pretty incredible kind of testimony you gave, and you just devoted your life to advocacy for child trafficking, and even 9/11 truth. Maybe you could explain to us, in the last decade, what do you think the most challenging parts of coming alive on some of these issues have been?
Probably the hardest thing, and it continues, is just realizing that pretty much everything that I was told and taught since I was in grade school is probably not true.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh,
sorry, I had to throw a cat. I had to throw a cat out of the house.
That's all right. Well, we lost you for a second.
Good evening, everybody.
Well, introduce our special guest. she's only our second guest, so she definitely needs an introduction.
She's first with us. Well, Melissa.
Hi.
Welcome. Also known, a.k.a. the Honeybee, on Twitter and Facebook.
And YouTube.
An amazing, and YouTube. An amazing journalist. I've been following your work for quite a while. And just lately, it's just been shaking the earth. And the earth needs to be shaken or shooken or whatever the term is. And
sure. Yeah, we need to shake it.
Yep. And,
I was actually looking. I was looking at your Twitter page today, and because you, in the very beginning, you weren't around, and it was just like you just burst onto the scene, and I saw you. You came on in February?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What got you started?
So I was always kind of anti-Twitter. I didn't really have much need for it. Because I just started creating video content in February. So I was kind of friendly with Bad Guacamole. I had met him on VidMe, that first platform that I had started on. And he was training me to create content. And he's like, oh, you gotta get behind the camera more. You gotta get on Twitter, get on Steemit, join all these things. And he got me really set up pretty much to connect with people. And once I started making videos, especially when I started putting out the DC investigations concerning the sex offender registry and government officials that were literally sex offenders that were still working and doing private contracting for the government, that's when I really started to kind of take off with my channel, because people were blown away by what was really going on. And now we're seeing just a snowball. And I didn't really start doing Pizzagate. I mean, I was completely intrigued by Pizzagate. I was looking into it all the time, but my content wasn't Pizzagate related, but it ended up tying into Pizzagate without any, I wasn't trying to do that. It was just the evidence leads you to the same people. So
eventually it all fits.
Yeah. So
it's
that's kind of where that
we all have been vortexed into this this area of child rape and child trafficking, and it's like a tornado has all gotten us in the same place, and it's nice to have some fellow travelers.
Yeah, absolutely. And beyond that, I mean, having that time to meet you, John, and to be side by side with Howie again at another event, with the Seth Rich protests. It's all about standing up for what is right and good in this world and protecting our future, whether it's against government corruption or if it's just the major problem, which I feel is most important to me, is protecting our children from abuse and exploitation. Not from the creepy guys that are, living off the street or at the, creepy coffee shop or whatever. It's your government officials, your teachers, your, instructors and people that are making the laws and running the world. This is a huge issue that I don't think people understand really, really how bad or how big it really is.
No, and hopefully tonight this is part one, and the name of the show is How Did We Get Here? I think I should have maybe put How the Hell Did We Get Here? I don't know, but we're gonna give, I like to give some historical background of how this happened, because this just doesn't happen to a society. I mean, when you look at America in the 1800s or the early 1900s, and even up and through the 40s and 50s, the society has changed so rapidly and so much for the worst. It's just not coincidental. And we'll be talking. I won't be covering the history, in depth, because I think what you're doing is, with the stuff that's going on YouTube is much more topical and important. But, I just want to give, and the links will be in there if the people that are listening want, and they should, because you need to know your enemy. And the American family, the American citizen, has been under attack for at least a century now. And we're going to talk about that tonight. So I'm honored with the company.
Amen, man. I'm with you. Thank you so much for having me on.
So you want to
jump into that, John?
Yeah, we'll do a little bit of about Eddie Bernays, and I guess nine. It's just like Seth Rich. 9 out of 10 people that you ask who he might be have no idea, and he's probably one of the guys that influenced the way the society is more than anybody else in the last century. He was a son of immigrants from Vienna. His uncle, people do know his uncle, Sigmund Freud, and Freud did some revolutionary work in psychoanalysis and psychology, and found out a lot about what drives the human mind and what drives human beings. And being a good con artist, his nephew used that information, and a lot of the work that Bernays did, Freud was not okay with, because Freud basically he found out all this information, he saw what was happening with the wars, and he kind of gave up on humanity. But what his nephew did, Edward Bernays, was use that information to influence people. And again, he started out, do you guys ever wonder where the phrase "keeping America safe for democracy" came from? Or keeping the world safe for democracy? That, I think that was used in the Gulf War. Well, that's where it came from. And
okay.
It is as early as right after World War I, because, and you see the people that they hang out with, Bernays did, and Freud and all those people were the elite, Rockefellers, so we know what the Rockefellers are about, and the secret societies and their agendas of depopulation and eugenics, but so that's the crowd this guy was hanging out in. But he's again puts himself forward as a savior of humanity, and because the average human being is not smart enough to operate in a democracy, so they had to be controlled. And he wrote a book, and it's in the links. It's called one of his first books is called Propaganda. The Nazis liked his work. Goebbels and Hitler read it, and they used it very effectively to brainwash, a large percentage of Germany into doing what they did, and basically suiciding the whole nation in a crazy war. And that was what Bernays decided to do, influence large numbers of people. And the Nazis gave propaganda such a bad name. He after the First World War, he knew he had to do something about that. So what he came up with is he changed it to public relations. So the public.
If you notice, every business has a PR department.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's been very effective. And we were talking before the show, and I mean, these are some very screwed up individuals, and this the pedophilia has been going on for decades too. It's a part of these Masonic, satanic secret societies. We all know that. We've uncovered that through our research. But and that's who these people hung out with, and so they start figuring out, that they can influence masses of people by triggering their unconscious and sexual desires and other unconscious areas that human beings have for, like they need security and love and stuff like this. And it's now midnight and where I am, so we have to set that thing. But so they're very sinister people, and they don't believe that the average human being has any worth at all or has any ability to govern themselves, to make decisions. And they come across this very sophisticated way to influence the public, and they've been doing it ever since. And they manufactured consumerism. There's a great documentary that's not in the links, but it's called The Century of Self. I'm going to end up killing some animals here before this hour's over. But at any rate, I guess at midnight they all go crazy. So if you hear bangs, there's crazy cats running around this house and everything. So at any rate, we'll try to overcome that as the best we can without actually killing an animal. But at any rate, we've been getting brainwashed since the early 1900s, and that's the point. In advertising and TV, and just the one example we talked about, and this is in the 1930s, in the Dixie Cup, Bernays brought in fluoridation of water with using these techniques. He and the Dixie Cup, and these guys were really sick, and it comes out in the information that they use, because they wanted to sell Dixie Cups, and they wanted to make the public think that their own utensils were unsanitary. So the way they did this was they had their ad campaign in these picture ads, or I'm not even sure if they had film ads, but they subliminally put vaginas and symbols of venereal or pictures of venereal disease into these ads. So that's how people made the association. They weren't deciding with their minds. They were appealing to a subconscious subliminal area, and that's how Dixie Cup, was a successful campaign. So you can see they're really sick individuals, and they've been doing this for decades, and it comes all the way. It's full circle to what you're uncovering now. We'll talk about Kinsey a little bit, because it's all one big circle, because they take these techniques, and then they get another pervert, Kinsey, to write a book, and they use the same techniques to basically indoctrinate our children and normalize pedophilia. And let's talk about. I'll come back to Kinsey, because Kinsey deserves a lot more time, because it's just the most screwed up thing, and people don't realize that institute still sits on the campus of Indiana University and is the seat of thousands of child rapes that were aided and abetted by its founder. So I think we'll talk about them, and go to the links. Please watch Kinsey's Pedophiles, and but let's start talking about
maybe we can touch on Kinsey on Thursday, because we'll
we'll give him the treatment on Thursday. But Melissa, please bring in what you've been uncovering on YouTube with the subliminal and just child rape images and mind control. Okay, I am
Sure.
You guys talk. I'll be back. I'm going to put this on mute and deal with the situation. I'll be back.
It's all you, Melissa.
You know, the most, besides the blatant pedophilia.
Shut the fuck up!
John?
That wasn't on mute.
Yeah, that was, I think you hit the wrong button. And we're back in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Should be good.
All right. You know that wasn't on mute, right?
He's not back yet. You can go.
Oh, okay.
How did you find it at first? What were you just plugging around YouTube, or did something pop up?
Oh, so the whole thing started on VidMe. I had stumbled upon CP, child pornography. Had a really bitch of a time trying to report it to the authorities, and then VidMe, of course, was in a political struggle with me about this because I wasn't using their report tool, because I know all too well about how the companies, the platforms, they block law enforcement from getting information about their subscribers. So I will report something to, like, say, VidMe or Facebook, and they'll just take it down. They don't necessarily send it over to the National Center or to the police. They say they might or may not, but there's no guarantee. And through the cases that we've seen in Congress with child advocacy groups, they always have a hard time with these corporations because they rule over their subscribers, and they have special privileges because they are providers of a platform. They're not putting up the child pornography. Their subscribers are. So they're not held liable, but also there's no oversight. So I had a huge problem with this whole way that, we're expected to, as, I say I'm a Twitter user or Facebook user, it becomes my job to report that stuff to them, and that's how they moderate. They don't go looking for this stuff on their own with their own people that they're paying. It's up to us to A, incriminate ourselves by even seeing it. B, most people don't know how to appropriately report pornography, child pornography. So you're putting yourself at risk at that end. And then if you don't report it to the police authorities, you're also breaking the law, because you're supposed to report child endangerment, child porn, anything that with a child that is in danger, you need to report that to authorities. So I just skipped.
The onus is all upon the users, but the platform has none whatsoever, because they're just there, and what people do, they have no responsibility.
Exactly. And they're above the law. They're above the law. And it's really aggravating because, people use the report tool, and we've seen it even on Twitter. They come right back. They don't go away. So
I've never used it.
I'm back, by the way.
Yeah, we heard you before, John. I remember your VidMe stuff, and but I had never really used it, and it's just interesting. I just went to page and I scrolled down, and like one of the first promoted videos is Illuminati of cheese, and I'm like, come on, man, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, there was a whole controversy with them taking our content off of the front page. Like, VidMe was actively censoring any content related to pedophilia or Pizzagate or Pedogate. And it was really bad. We actually started a war with all of the people there that were just doing like speed drawing and rap in for the camera or whatever. There was like a war against reality and like people living in non-reality. And they just didn't want to hear it. They didn't like seeing our videos on the front page. And VidMe sided with them and wanted a cozy little comfortable front page without addressing the issues of exploitation of children on their own website. So it was just really a horrible, horrible platform. And I will never recommend that anybody use VidMe. Do not give those people any of your money, any of your information, or anything. They're snakes, vipers, and sick individuals that don't care about children. They care about turning a profit and stealing your information, like any other platform.
Do you know who started? Do you know who started it or owns it?
Yeah, actually, his name escapes me because I haven't even thought about them in so long.
Oh, okay. I was just trying to look, but it's not a corporation. Just one guy started it. I'll check it out while you're talking.
It's a privately owned company, and it's actually an offshore company. So technically, they don't have to go by certain rules in the United States. Yet their financials are based in Los Angeles. That's why I got the Los Angeles, youth crimes service involved. Right. It's, child pornography and abuse.
Interesting.
And hopefully, I'm hoping that, the work that you're doing is being picked up by the FBI and the Justice Department. And I know Operation Broken Heart 4 just came to an end with a bunch of arrests, and we still haven't heard names, which I'm really not happy with.
Yeah.
But
I call them all the time, man. I call the FBI like once every 2 weeks with a report or asking for an update on any of the number of reports that I've sent to them. I call about names of people that have been arrested. I've called even when the KTLA report came out in January, I called the sheriff's department to find out how I can get the names of the people that were arrested. Nobody wants to talk to me. Nobody will talk to me. So, they give you little bits here and there. They'll name a few people, some low-level dirtbags, that they don't care. But these arrests are, I believe, this could go either way. They're either just doing these little arrests to appease people, and there's a really great article I just read about I think it was the something John's, like, national or annual arrest operation that they do. They do like 5 or 6 states, and they go after the Johns in their areas. But what they're doing is they're putting in, they're peppering in child trafficking in these, primarily arresting prostitutes and Johns that are of legal age, to kind of pacify, people like you and I and others that are trying to uncover and expose the pedophilia. So hopefully we'll be like, oh, finally the arrests are being made. Right. On the other hand, I strongly believe this more so than that. They're both a possibility, and obviously that means I just don't know, and I'm not afraid to admit that. But I feel more inclined to believe that the arrests that they're making, there are some individuals that are so big league, that are so connected, that putting their name out there would destroy like 100 people in government. So, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why we're not getting all of the names. I think laws need to be changed. Reporting needs to be changed. Media itself needs to be unplugged, thrown out the window, put in the washing machine, turn back on, and create it again. Like, the way media is run in our country is just so corrupt. It's corrupt as the government itself. So I don't know.
If I could jump in for a second, just to that point about the arrest, and they're lumping, they might get one child pornographer in, and they're doing these like massive arrests, but it's really not all about child trafficking and child sex abuse. Remember it was called Operation Reclaim and Restore, and it was like 400. Yeah. Okay. And I contacted the LA Sheriff's Department. I wanted a list of names, mugshots, because it seemed to me like 400 and something people over the course of a weekend.
Yeah, I called
400. Okay, well, they wouldn't give. They're not allowed to give a list of names or mugshots. It's some kind of California law. But a San Diego reporter did you see this report? A San Diego reporter got a list of the names from the ones that were caught in San Diego.
Well, there was only 13 or 14 names on that list, I thought.
Yeah, there were like 38, but they were Johns. They didn't say anything necessarily about child sex trafficking. They didn't say they found any kids, and other people had like some other arrests, but there was like one, like a name and one trafficker. but there were no specifics, and it was like a typed out list on a piece of paper. So the whole thing, like you said, just reeked of trying to make it look like something big just happened. And I even watched the press. They did a whole press conference, and they brought all the agencies together, and it was like there were no specifics given. And I'm like, when there's no like if you did something where you just saved a lot of children, you got a lot of child traffickers, you're going to be given a lot of specifics, and they did not give anything. And when people speak in general terms, thanks for the cooperation of so and so, we're working hard, blah blah. You put a press conference together. If you did something good, you'd probably give some facts. So I'm not trusting that Operation Reclaim and Restore one bit.
No, and there was one. I mean, there was at least one child trafficking or forced prostitution situation, because they admitted in the article that the very few children that were involved in this were in the care of DCF and were then taken out of DCF's care and put into non-governmental care. So that was the only inkling of child abuse that I could see coming from any of the information. And it could have been 1 or 2 kids. It could have been 10 kids. I don't know. Like you said, there really isn't a lot of information and no specifics on exactly.
When you ask them, they won't tell you. It's none of your business.
Well, then you're like a criminal sniffing around. They always turn around and feel like I'm an asshole for calling. But I'm just
absolutely.
Yeah, the National Center discourages people from working on their own to expose this. That's kind of odd.
Because we find out that the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is really just a front for child pornography and keeping dabs and tabs on kids. I mean, there's 25 people working at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, guys. And there's over 2 million cases a year of kids going missing and being sexually abused and exploited. Do you really think 25 people that are not law enforcement, that have no law enforcement like authority, have the credentials to do such a job?
They only work. They say right on their website that they only work. That most of the thing they work with runaways. That's really what they do. We did a show on that, and it was basically like 90-something% of the children, the kids that they're working with, are runaways. I could go back and get the statistics.
Yeah, it's front organization after front organization, whether it's the Boy Scouts, whether it's the National Center. And you just have these not only do you have the Congress is the main corrupt body, but you have all these outflows of front organizations that normalize and cover up. And DCF is, I mean, we found case after case after case after case there, and we can safely say now that we got some really great shows coming up with topics like Nancy Schaefer, the Georgia senator that was murdered trying to expose DCF and their role in child trafficking. There's a gentleman, he's Justice for Rod on Twitter. His brother was, through kind of serendipitous circumstances, going to expose a U.S. senator that was brownstone, in child trafficking, and he disappeared. And they've been and we just keep trying to expose these organizations and the sub organizations that are just covers for the trafficking and the pedophilia that's going on.
Well,
and
John, you're saying we're trying to expose, and just the things that Melissa's brought to the forefront, they've already been exposed. It's out there. It's like, at what point? I mean, it's not conspiracy. It's not theory. It's right there.
Yeah.
But because if people, it's not going to happen necessarily from the government. If people don't wake up to the reality, and even sometimes when they do, I mean, even when you show them things, like their brains can't seem to process it.
Yeah.
Well, my biggest concern is when when you start, when we start getting to where like we're really finding tons and tons of child pornography that people are still not going to get it. They're just not going to get it.
I'd have a hard time arguing with you, but and like we started the show with, how we've been brainwashed since, the early 1900s. That's not something that's going to be overcome overnight, and hopefully, we're all chipping away at that dissonance and the stupor that the majority of the public seem to be in about all these issues. And hopefully at some point it'll turn around. And there is some, light at the end of the tunnel, like the Deputy Attorney General in California being now under arrest for child pornography, like the number 3 at the Vatican. It's about to get prosecuted for hundreds of. So, the awareness has to be coming up. I don't think it's where it was, and just this year, just the amount, and it's never enough. And for me, it, yesterday would be nice, but
well, I think it goes beyond awareness at this point because people.
Action.
I got this great response. I posted this horrific friggin' case today on Twitter about this guy who was watching live kid rape on the computer. He's in the UK, I guess, but it was from a United States abuse case. So this is a child that was raped on live streaming computer, and people were paying to watch it. So this guy gets caught, and he gets fucking 20 months. 20 months in jail for paying to watch a live rape of a child. Now, I mean, I know people that have gone to jail for longer than that for drugs. It's just it's insane. But this one guy, everyone's like freaking out. And he writes to me, if slaves want justice, they just have to stop being slaves. And he's totally right. We can complain and talk and show and tell all we want, but unless we're getting up, thank you both too for being at these events. I mean, I've traveled to DC twice already. It's a 15-hour drive because I know the importance of getting together physically and standing side by side with your brothers and sisters and saying, no, enough is enough. And people need to start remembering that that's going to go away if people don't start exercising those. And they're not just rights under the United States. It's a right as a human being to say, no, I don't like this. It needs to stop. We're a community of people that don't agree with child sex and rape. And we don't want our kids to be near you people. We want you to be in jail for 20 years. We need to start pushing for those kinds of laws.
And you're right. All the awareness in the world and a $1.50 or $2 will get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks,
Right.
It's and it's going to take millions of people in this, and unless, there are some spots where the dam is breaking, and when the corruption goes, it all comes down, but until that time, other than millions of people showing up in Washington, D.C. or at their local state government house, thousands of people in many states. This is, it's not
and looking really angry.
and looking, I don't have to work on that lately.
Yeah, looking really pissed off. I don't know if you guys saw, just real quick, because there was a case in Philadelphia where a daycare center operator, it was a daycare center / gym.
Two kids, yeah,
5-year-olds. But right after that, I sent it out that apparently there's 250 reported cases of child sex abuse in Philadelphia each month. And I was like, 250 each month? Well, I'm not hearing about these. I'm not seeing convictions. This is, and I'm like, I mean, that's epidemic right there. I mean, if you extrapolate that over a course of a year, it's 3,000 kids just in Philadelphia. So, right there, it should say, we got to, people can't do, I don't know if they can't do basic math or, wow, it's a lot of kids, also to show that it must be some type of, there's not 250 individual instances and, a guy just happens to own a a gym or a daycare center for 10 years and then wakes up one day and starts, molesting, two
Right.
5-year-olds.
Right,
So,
right.
So, I
And
mean,
it's funny, the statistics part of it, because I don't think people really know the numbers, and that's also a tactic that our government uses, and they try to twist things around, like especially with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. You've got John F. Clark, okay, who is the president of the NCMEC, NCMEC they call it. He's from Lockheed Martin, okay. He was a U.S. Marshal. He's been connected for a very long time in very interesting places. And he was touting on their annual report back in 2015, I believe, that over the last 30 years, they've recovered 8,170 something kids. And that was like huge, And I'm like, wait a minute. It's like whip out my phone calculator. And I'm like, okay, I just read earlier in this report that they get like 2,000, and they got in 2013 there was like 5,000 or 4,400 4 million kids of reports. It was like some crazy number in 2013, but usually it's about 2 million reports a year. So I'm doing the math on my phone, and it comes out to, in 30 years, with that many reports of kids going missing or being abused, that they've only safely recovered 8,000 kids. That's 3%.
And I bet you more than half of those were runaways. They weren't trafficked children.
Right. That's all. That's
hurrah
mainly what
for the National Center. Are you kidding me?
That's horrible. That's a horrible number. It's nothing to be bragging about. That is for damn sure. But they want you to think that that's a great number, so you're brainwashed, to thinking that they're doing a great job. When honestly, guys, you got a Podesta on their panel of senior analysts, okay, whose parents work at the Washington Post, whose brother works at Salon, pedophile promoting newspaper, okay. And there's no relation to him and John Podesta, who 2 weeks after my video comes out ends up working at the Washington Post with these people. Come on.
I think we're being.
I don't know.
Another coincidence.
I think we're being too hard on them because they only have $42 million a year to work with. So what do you expect? I mean, what can you really do with $42 million?
And they probably have 42 million people that would gladly work with them, but they don't want us to do that.
Yeah.
They've got it. Of course, they don't want us to do it because, we might recover half of the children.
Yeah.
Here's the numbers
of missing kids and put pictures on them.
I don't want to harp on Nick Beck, but I mean, 2016 they worked with 20,500 cases of missing children, 20,500, 90% were endangered runaways, 6% family abductions, 96%, 1% lost, injured, 1% non-family abductions, 2% critically missing young adults aged 18 to 20. So they're not working with trafficking. They're not working with, the children that we're going after. They're in runaways.
No.
And I'm not saying that's not an issue, but $42 million and saying that they're the authorities on child sex abuse and all this shit, bullshit. It's utter
total bullshit. Yep.
All right.
What do you have? And we're going to be posting some more of these links, and I'm pretty sure you guys know who Dr. Reisman is, and she's done some really good work and continues to in exposing what's going on on YouTube and in movie and film on how the children are being basically groomed for these pedophiles, and we wonder, why don't these kids, why don't some of them speak up? And it's because they're being socially engineered with videos like Melissa Found and others and many others and Disney films and everything else to not react. to be mind controlled. And I just wanted to get her name out, and I'm going to be posting some more links throughout the between now and Thursday, and another batch of links on Thursday that will point to her work, because she has been wonderful. And actually, in the links that we did post, there's a PDF in there on the agenda, the pedophile agenda, and how they are attempting to normalize it, and just please, anybody listening, anybody that tweets with us, and just share this stuff, for God's sake. Even on Facebook, it's like, people, and this just drives me crazy, absolutely crazy. People who like these tweets and don't retweet them, people on Facebook that'll like and do all these way out reactions to your post and not share it. It's like, are they socially engineered? Even the ones that, I don't understand that. But so we keep swimming against the tide here, but hopefully.
Well, Judith Reisman surely isn't. I mean, she's been trying to defeat the pedophile agenda for like 30 years. I mean, she is totally anti-Kinsey. She's been fighting Kinsey forever. She was fighting Before You Act with Fred Berlin at the Johns Hopkins University. She's been on TV saying that those people are trying to promote the pedophile agenda. They're using psychiatry and psychology to help pedophiles be covert about their behaviors and to get organized. And that's why we're seeing groups like Heart Progress and Our Love Frontier and NARSOL and the Center for Sexual Justice. I mean, that's why we're seeing them so bold and brazen to just come right out and start fighting for pedophile rights. I mean, who the hell would ever thought that would be legal? Never mind accepted by a few people. They have followers, and it's terrifying. But Judith Reisman, I mean, she is just an inspiration to me, and I'm really glad you guys are pushing her. People should know who she is. She's working with Craig Sawyer on his docuseries. I mean, she's a fantastic woman. Fantastic woman.
We'll be hearing, and we'll talk a little bit more about her, and maybe you can join us on Thursday too. I don't know, but
I'm slinging drinks on Thursday.
Oh, darn it. Well, me and Howie will just have to do our usual, and just have to miss you. But don't be a stranger, definitely, because I mean, I'm bowled over by your knowledge and your research and the action that you take, and that's it. It's action, people. It's not the the time for talking and is well past, and we try to put some of that stuff that there's local resolutions. There's so much you can do. Just one person, just standing up in your local government and bringing these issues forward and talking about them, because chances are there are people that are in your community that you don't even know that feel the same way you do. Until you take that risk and get out there, and then somebody I know holds signs up in a very tough city, and in other places, to raise awareness and get people to, wake the hell up, and because it's only going to be through action that this comes down.
Yep. Watch the network, man. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. That's like what people got to start doing. I wish somebody in the media would do that.
Really?
Well, they're mad, but they're mad about other things. Can we get Lisa? Why we have you? Did you get into these color coded videos on YouTube?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, there's like, I love this channel. It's Investigating YouTube. They're doing some great work on this too. I know.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
There's a link. There's a link to one of their videos in our show.
Yeah. So
before you start, I mean, like when the whole is there any did anybody make any connection to the Teletubbies? Because I remember when the Teletubbies came out and there was all kinds of conspiracy theories about the Teletubbies. And when I saw these videos, that's what popped into my head, that there was something going on.
That's a great analogy. I think that there might be something there, Howie, and I actually might look into that.
Please do, because that's just what I keep it on a real layman kind of level, but I just saw that and like they're throwing these colors out and I just remember, from back when I don't know if it was mid 90s or whatever, it just seemed like there was possibly some kind of connection.
I would say, and without even researching it, absolutely, because they've had this stuff going on in freaking Donald Duck cartoons from the 30s.
Right.
So I would.
Teletubbies was disturbing to me. There was something about it, and like I used to be a preschool teacher, and I would never ever let our kids. I wouldn't really let them watch TV. I mean, they wanted to do movie day on Friday with the whole thing, but because I had a preschool, like I had little toddler kids, I could be like, no, they're not really into that today. We're going to just go do something creative and not watch TV. So, so these colors are pretty important. And you're seeing it not just in the Elsa Gate videos. I mean, you're talking about Teletubbies. Absolutely. There are these other videos that are teaching learned helplessness by using these primary bright colors. And then you have that crazy brainwashing video that's been going all around, programming and talking about triggers with colors. And, whenever I found the connections with the Elsa videos and the Spider-Man videos, I mean, these people are famous people that are making thousands of dollars a day on these sick videos that they are exploiting their own child, including others, to teach them to accept things like, dismemberment, pain, injections, abortions, pregnancy, weird, bodily functions, scat play, peeing and pooping on each other. I mean, it's just insane. And this isn't just on like restricted YouTube for adults. This is on YouTube Kids, like the children version of YouTube. And kids are just watching it. I mean, some of these videos have 25 million views on them. It's just ridiculous.
And that one alone, you've got a fucking, excuse me, but I end up having to curse because that's the only way I can deal with some of this.
Yeah.
But you have a video that's ciphered gibberish in its description. It's obvious, related to child abuse content, and it's got 65,000 views.
Well, I just
really,
yeah,
really.
But
anybody, I mean, any normal person running across that wouldn't click on it. Anybody that started it wouldn't finish watching it. How in the hell, other than this is being used by pedophiles to rape children, do you get 65,000 views? So that totally floored me, and not to mention all the other stuff you're talking about.
Are you talking about the crazy brainwashing video with the crazy noises? Okay, that's up to 69,315 views. So give it a little more credit there. It's almost to 70,000 views, and this came on the scene in May, and you can't find it unless you have the link. You can't Google it. You can't put, you know what I mean? You can't put in like brainwashing video. It's a bunch of coded letters as the title. It's unlisted, so you can't find a page that goes with it. And then there's this crazy code on the bottom. Never mind the video, which I'm just going to play here in front of myself. It's got these crazy images kind of blipped in here and there of like kids and maps. And maps is another thing that I was talking about in some of my videos about minor attracted persons. This might be a code for pedophiles to help maybe get children.
Of course it is. And I guarantee you, and that's probably in a few days, another 4,000 views. This is being used right now on children somewhere for either to keep them in the mind control state that they're in or indoctrinate them in some way. It's being used right now because, you know that right now. 4,000. Really?
There's suicide stuff in here. There's a noose. The other day, I was like tapping on it to stop it on certain pictures. There's butterflies, nooses hanging from trees. And then there's the woman who's speaking, and she's saying like Spider-Man, is your trigger, red, pink, Power Ranger is your trigger. And like, okay, if somebody is playing, they're a child, they're playing with kids, and the Power Ranger pink is their trigger, a man or a woman could come up and be like, hey, you like Power Rangers? And they're like, oh, I need to go with this person. That's how that stuff works. You're programming a reaction or an unconscious like decision that someone's going to make by these subliminal things. And then they put this creepy code in here to decipher. And I actually used there's a great deciphering program that is like incredible, and it gives you so many different options on how to unencrypt it. There's like millions of different ways to encrypt and decrypt codes. So I went through this for like maybe 6 hours, just plugging it in different codes and whatnot. And finally, I freaking got what it says on that video, and I'll read it. It says, red, repress the memories of trauma with drugs. Blue, militaristic training and decimation of the mind. Green, denial of events and atrocities committed against them. Yellow, personas compartmentalized. Pink, core personality entirely destroyed. And these are definitely ways that they use in MK Ultra mind control, where they manipulate you using drugs. It's a militaristic, agenda that they put you through. They fracture your mind, denial of events and atrocities committed against them. They fracture the brain, so you have multiple personalities, and you switch on and off when you're needed in whatever situation they want you to put in. Personas compartmentalized. That's what that is. And then core personality entirely destroyed, where you have no soul, you have no remorse, you have no home base to go back to. Memories gone, feelings not existent anymore. You are programmed. You have channels that can be turned on and off. You're a drone. And they're kind of telling you in this code, kind of like directions on
I just tweeted that out, Melissa. And I mean, and it's classic MK Ultra. If you research back through the pedophile networks, all those kids had multiple personality disorder. They were all brought in and brainwashed to remain. They could remain in control of these freaks that ran the networks, and it's like we start with that the finders back in '87 and the technology they were using. And this is what they've done with our technology, and thousands of people are accessing this video. It's still on YouTube. Does anybody even give a shit? Has anybody, put a strike on the video to take it down?
I've reported it 3 times already.
Yep.
And my videos and my other friends' videos are the ones that get taken down.
Oh yeah, YouTube. Yeah, YouTube says there's this huge backlog of, complaints that they're looking into.
Sounds like the Vatican. Give me a break.
Right.
Yeah, but if I upload one video that has even music that they can hear that's playing in the car, they put a strike on. It's like, yeah, but there's a tremendous backlog for this ciphered code, child abuse, MK Ultra stuff. There's so much out there that we couldn't possibly address it. But and who should be addressing it is the fucking Justice Department. Mm-hmm. Really, 69,000 views. Like they don't know what this is or what it's being used for.
Yeah. Never mind Disney not doing anything about their images and their characters being used. And there's 25 million views on those videos. You got Elsa, pregnant, getting injected by the Joker. Like, where's the comic book? Where's DC and Marvel? Like, I have a song from like the Mickey Mouse Club on a video, and I'm going to get shut down immediately. Do you know that once I put my Elsagate video up, those fuckers, pardon my language, but Eric Meldick and his weird girlfriend, Mama Dosha, Monica, whatever her name is, they put a copyright claim on my video. And they get money when my video gets money, not me. So I had to appeal it. So I appealed it and they denied my appeal. So I had to appeal. I had to reappeal. Okay. So I'm in a reappeal right now, waiting for their response. If they deny my appeal, I could be held legally responsible and go to court over this. And my channel will get taken down permanently. Because I did a transformative video, a documentary type of video, talking about their material, not using their material to make money or use as commercial. And they're trying to make it seem like I'm the criminal here.
Yeah. And what another propaganda technique, right, Howie?
Right.
Accuse your enemy of what you're guilty of.
Exactly. And I wrote to Disney. I wrote to the Disney licensing department and never heard back or anything. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned,
but that's the thing. It's pointless. They took, the internet's great. We get to spread information, but they still control everything. And we've seen it on every social media platform, how the bias and how their hands of justice is just weighted in favor of what they want. I mean, we need so many lawsuits. We need so many class action lawsuits against people to make them, at least, even if we don't win, just to make them answer questions.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's time. It's absolutely it's time.
Yeah, way past time.
Yeah. Twitter alone. There are so many cases of
looking, and it took me, and I just got so angry at these people. There was, when the Keepers came out, they have a Facebook community. They're doing some positive work. These fucking scumbags create an identical site. They're putting all this, garbage up there and just unbelievably foul stuff, basically trolling, the real site. And it took me about a month, but you know what? I got those fucks, excuse me, and I just have to curse because they're just so foul. I got to get down in the gutter with them. They're exploiting victims of child rape, and that's what they were doing. And it took like a month and a half, and they were very confident that they wouldn't get taken down. But finally, Facebook acted, and they took the whole site down. And I keep that picture, and I look at it from time to time. That occasionally there's a few victories here and there, and that's why we got to keep fighting.
You have to. I've been fighting Hard Progress since the day I found out that they were in existence. And I'm never going to stop because they're not going to stop. They're not until they're put away, or I hate saying it, but maybe put down. It's like a disease, man. Like, these people are culling members, sick, twisted, depraved people in society that want to normalize pedophilia and child rape. And, whenever I see them, they go on YouTube, just like you saw on Facebook. They attack victims of sexual child abuse. They seek it out, and they try to demonize them for complaining about it. Like, there's something wrong with people that are traumatized by sexual abuse as a child. I mean, it's so twisted and depraved. I hope that I can find out every single person in that group and go to their house and just stand out, like stand out front of their house like a creepy person and just make them afraid.
And we will help you. We'll help you do that. The music got us. Melissa, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Melissa.